The following is a Spirit Street production.
We had some real good action this past weekend in the Big 12. There were some steps forward as far as inter-conference action. The Big 12 took a couple of steps forward. They also took a step back in some other cases. But either way, we're going to cover all that today and what we actually saw and what happened within the Big 12 conference this weekend. This is the Big 12 Insiders.
Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show, presented by Synergy Financial Partners. Now let's go to booming North Texas, home of Studio 73. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Big 12 Insiders. It's your man, Big B, Brien Hanley. Appreciate everybody being in here today. We got a lot to cover. We're basically going to go over exactly what we saw and, in my opinion, what happened this weekend between Big 12 teams and some of the competition. Look, before we get into that, remember, as always, remember to subscribe, like, hit the thumbs up, all that good stuff, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12's Insiders videos come out. So without further ado, let's get into this, man. So first things first, Big 12 had some games against some other Power 4 conferences this weekend, and some turned out good, some turned out bad. We're going to get into all of that. I thought it was more better for the Big 12 this weekend than it was bad. And, you know, I think we had a pretty good weekend overall. There were some surprises, some blowouts, but overall, I think the Big 12 kind of represented itself pretty good. Let's start off here on Friday. BYU went to SMU. I had the privilege of being able to go to this game. Wasn't a great football game per se, but BYU, I mean, look, the one thing about BYU in the past is that they were not a physical football team. Well, they out-physicaled SMU from start to finish. Now, they won the game 18-15. Like I said, it wasn't a great football game. They did enough. Their defense stopped everything that SMU was trying to do. Now, I think part of that, people tried to pump up SMU being better than what they are. I mean, heck, I was there. You just ask anybody from SMU. They'll tell you how good they are, whether they're good or not, you know, but they'll definitely tell you. And BYU, we can say whatever we want. They weren't picked to finish very high in the league. They're undefeated as of now. And this is, again, it's a game. I think SMU is going to finish probably in the lower half of the ACC, but they weren't picked to be there. Bottom line is BYU won the game. They out-physicaled them, beat them up 18-15. Good win for BYU on the road against a Power 4 team. Moving on. Kansas State against Tulane. Look, I think Tulane's a little bit better than what people probably are going to perceive them to be. But let's not kid ourselves. Kansas State didn't play well. The conservative play calling again, and the defense just giving up play after play, just chunk yards left and right. It looked like Tulane. I know I use this analogy all the time, but I think it fits. Tulane was literally doing wind sprints up and down the field against Kansas State. They just absolutely were. Kansas State had a dominant third quarter where they were able to get back into the game, and then they made a play at the end defensively to win it. I don't think there's anybody on the Kansas State in that locker room, coaching staff, players, nobody feels good about this game. They don't feel good about the win. But you know what? They did win. And that's the difference, is that they didn't go and play bad and lose. So they played bad and won, but they'll have to play much better this coming up week to beat Arizona. Baylor and Utah. Look, Baylor, big win last week. People jumped on the bandwagon. And they didn't play horrible in this game. Now, they got down quick pretty early. Cam Rising goes out from Utah. We'll see how bad that injury is to his finger / hand, whatever it may be. So we'll see how bad that is. But Utah couldn't do anything without him. That's the one thing that came to my mind, is like the entire program just kind of went, oh, man, not again. You know, and I get it. I totally understand. But, yeah, they couldn't move the football. And maybe it was just one of those, the entire team was just deflated because of the injury, and maybe they'll pick it up this coming up week. I hope so. Baylor, look, you only gave up 23 points. I thought you'd give up somewhere in the 40s. And maybe you would have if Cam Rising still plays, but he didn't. 23-12, not a horrible showing for Baylor, but I think Utah's a lot better than them. Look, here's the game of the day. Houston, I shouldn't say the game of the day, but the surprise of the day. Houston basically has the ball with an opportunity to go down the field and beat Oklahoma. They lost 16-12, but Houston played so much better this week than they did the previous week against UNLV. By the way, UNLV scored 70 points this past week, and they play Kansas coming up. So we'll see exactly how good UNLV really is. We got some thoughts on Kansas coming up here. But, yeah, so we'll find out. But Houston, look, I think OU's a good team. I don't think they're in the upper echelon of the SEC, but they're still a good football team. And Houston was right there on the road. They lost 16-12. I give Willie Fritz and that team a ton of credit from bouncing back from that pathetic way that they played week one against UNLV. But again, maybe UNLV is really that good. We'll find out a little bit more about that this week. Good for Houston. Oklahoma State survives against Arkansas, 39-31, double overtime game. Look, Oklahoma State had to battle. They had to battle just to get back in the game because they were getting physically whipped at one point in this game. They're down 21-7. Arkansas had everything rolling. It easily could have been 28-7 if not from some mistakes from Arkansas. But Oklahoma State's got to get it wrong. They got to figure out a way to get that running game going. Look, Ollie Gordon had 49 yards. That's just not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. And I know teams are going to make Alan Bowman beat them. And maybe that's the way. But they got to figure out a way. I mean, good teams, it doesn't matter if you're trying to take away something. They figure out a way to still do what they do best. And I believe Oklahoma State runs the football better than they do anything else. They got to be able to figure that out and figure out a way. But you know what? They fought back and they won the football game. Again, it's a testament to them. They were at home. Arkansas, I think, is a little better than what I and a lot of other people thought. So good win for Oklahoma State. Ooh, now Kansas. Look, I've been high on Kansas. People have been trying to talk me off that Kansas ledge since this summer. And I've just been high on Kansas. You can't go to Illinois and lose. You just can't. And I don't want to hear that it was a tough environment. I don't want to hear that it was a sold-out game. Plenty of people play in tough environments and sold-out games. Kansas has better football players than Illinois does. Period. End of story. And if this was supposed to be such a special year at Kansas, you have to win this game. Now, again, all the conference stuff is still out there for Kansas to take advantage of. So I don't want for me to try to say that their season is wrecked and their season is over. No, that's not the case. But are people going to take you seriously? Because Illinois isn't going to finish in the upper half of the Big Ten. That ain't happening. I'm sorry. That's just not happening. And Jalen Daniels, we can be honest, he played lousy. He played lousy. The offense as a whole, they should have just kept running the football. I thought they had plenty of opportunities to run the football. You saw that the passing game wasn't going. Just keep running it. Devin Neal, 100 yards. I mean, they ran for 186 yards. Almost, it was over 5.5 yards a carry. Why not just keep running the football? I don't know. Like I said, you can't go to Illinois and lose if you're trying to be special. Now, I know the Kansas schedule isn't that difficult. It's not. But this was supposed to be a W. I mean, just was. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm disappointed that Kansas didn't win this football game. I thought they were better than that, but they didn't. And they lost 23-17. Tough. Arizona. Look, must have been holding a ton back because you can only score 22 points against Northern Arizona. I get that this is Northern Arizona's Super Bowl, but come on. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't think I think it was a more conservative type of game plan because they go to Kansas State next week. So we wanted to see, they didn't want to show everything and do a whole lot. But I just wasn't very impressed by this game. We'll find out a whole hell of a lot more about Arizona. Like I said, this coming up week against Kansas State, 22-10 victory. I didn't like it. But you know what I did like? And I seem to be the only person that talks about the Big 12 that picked Iowa State to beat Iowa. I said, enough's enough. I know they won in 2022, but enough's enough. They're going here to win. They're better than Iowa. Iowa just, that offense, sooner or later, and I know they got a great defense, but sooner or later, people can figure out a way. If you can just stick around, you can score against Iowa's defense. And that's exactly what Iowa State did. You know, Iowa beat them up and beat them up, but they just kept going and they kept plugging and they kept plugging. And then they found a crack. And then they found another crack. And then they found another crack. And they just kept battling and go and win this football game. And look, I'm a person. First of all, I have no idea why Iowa was ranked. I'm the guy that's always going to say there's no reason Iowa should be ranked. Their offense is atrocious. They only get ranked because apparently voters love Kirk Ferentz and they love the defense. Well, Iowa State's better than them, and they proved they were better than them. And I think Iowa State has a better coach than them. You can say that I said it. I like Matt Campbell. I think he's a better coach. I think Iowa State is a better football team this year. They win on the road. They get it done against a Big Ten team. This is a big game for not only Iowa State, but the Big 12 in itself, because while Iowa isn't Oregon or Ohio State, Michigan's pretty bad. They're not maybe the upper echelon of the Big Ten. They're middle of the pack. They're middle to the upper side of the Big Ten. Big win for Iowa State, man. Big win for Iowa State. Cincinnati fans, you can be as mad at me. Spoiler alert, since UC, you're going to be in the bottom of the Big 12 power rankings when they come out. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're up 27-3 late in the third quarter, cruising. You're seeing all these texts. They're talking about how many guys they're going to get into the football game. And lo and behold, a Scott Satterfield special, and you end up losing 28-27. Give me a break. I mean, I don't think this was a game that I thought you were going to win. And I didn't think Cincinnati was that good. I don't. But I know Pitt's not very good. I know that for a fact. And I think Cincinnati was better. I'm sorry, UC fans. I've said it once. I said it before. You guys are knowledgeable. You deserve better than what you're getting out there. You deserve better. I know you're mad at me right now because of where I have you ranked. I apologize, but it is what it is. I mean, I always say this. Don't let your head and your heart lie to what your eyes see. Just don't let that happen. Don't let that happen. Bad loss for Cincinnati. West Virginia, 49-14 over Albany. Bounce back game. Not a whole lot to talk about there. They're just way better than Albany. Next up, UC is just way better than Sam Houston, 45-14. Again, just outmatched. I don't even know if you can say West Virginia or UCF. I'm sorry. UCF played good. I'm not sure. I just know they whipped the opponent that they were much, much better than. Next up, Colorado. Woo! Lord have mercy. Smacked around by Nebraska. And look, I'll be honest. I think Matt Rule actually likes Deion Sanders. I do. And I think he called the dogs off. I honestly believe that. Because I think that Nebraska could have scored 50 points if they wanted to. And they didn't. Now, they didn't play as well in the second half, I'll admit. And you know how kids can be. We're up 28-0. I'm sure Nebraska's defense is like, these guys can't block us. They can't do anything to stop us. And I'm sure they just got so complacent. We don't have to do a whole lot. This game is over. Anytime we feel like turning it on, we can stop them. And they did. 28-0 at halftime. They couldn't block them. Colorado, again, couldn't run the football. 22 carries, 16 yards. I mean, you should be ashamed of yourself. Couldn't block. 5 sacks on Shedeur Sanders. They couldn't block Nebraska's front. And, they were putting a ton of pressure. Well, they was just 4 guys. It's not like Nebraska was blitzing 5 and 6 guys. They just literally could not block them. I said it last week. I'll say it again. It looks the exact same way with Colorado. Nothing looks different from this year to last year. And I think it's time that we start saying now, a lot of people are already saying it, but I've been a defender of Coach Prime, and I'll still be a defender. But again, you guys know me. I'm going to tell the truth. It doesn't look any better, and you can't win football games with just skilled players. I mean, it's never been that case. Even in high school, you can't just win with skilled guys. You can't do that. And especially at this level, you can't win. And again, you can say that Colorado had the best, even the best three guys on the field when they were on offense. They had the best three players. Travis Hunter is the best player. Shedeur Sanders, you could even throw Jimmy Horn in there if you want to. Okay, they have the three best football players. And then what? You can't block a soul. You can't stop anybody from running. It just looked bad, man. You better get it fixed. You better get it fixed. You go to Colorado State and you lose. Oof, ugly people, just ugly. TCU smacked around I didn't even know Long Island had a football team. I'll be honest, 45-0. Yeah, it is what it is. No need to talk about that one. Game of the day that I shouldn't say game of the day, but a game that I was surprised they would have more fight. Texas Tech goes to Washington State and gets their head beaten in 37-16. Lord have mercy, Texas Tech. What is going on? Your defense is atrocious. It's bad. Now your offense can't get it figured out. It's gone downhill. I mean, this is the same type of start that you had last year. At least last year you could blame it on injuries, quarterback injuries, or just for the season in general. You can't blame what is going on. You're better than this, Texas Tech. You're better than this. And I was a guy, I tried to defend you. I can't defend this. I won't defend it. More importantly, I won't defend it, but I can't defend this. And Washington State is a pretty good football team. They are, but they're not anything special. They're a 500, maybe a little above 500 team in the Big 12 if they're playing in the Big 12. And maybe Texas Tech is not this year. I don't know. We're going to see, but that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing. Ooh, ugly. And last but not least, Arizona State beats Mississippi State. They were up big. Mississippi State made it close near the end. Arizona State ends up winning 30-23. Again, a lot of people didn't believe that Arizona State was going to be a good football team this year. I think most people put this game as a loss in Arizona State's column. Look, this game got closer at the end. Arizona State, again, fast and physical on defense. The same thing that happened last week against Wyoming. Well, it was just Wyoming. It was Wyoming. Well, now it's Mississippi State. And don't get me wrong. Nobody's ever going to confuse Mississippi State with Georgia in the SEC. That's not what we're trying to say. But Mississippi State had some athletes out there. But you know what? So did Arizona State. And Arizona State's playing some good football. Just be sure to check out the Big 12 power rankings, Big 12 Insiders power rankings tomorrow, because they're going to make a big jump. They are absolutely going to make a big jump. So overall, people, it was a good week for the Big 12. It really was. Like I said, they battled against some teams outside in Power 4 conferences for the most part, and they played well. Again, Texas Tech, what are you doing? Colorado, ugh, Lord, what are you doing? But Arizona State, BYU, represented well. Kansas, though, oh, man, bad. But we've got other opportunities coming up. The Big 12, I think it represented itself well. I think it can stand up and say, you know what? We aren't just a throw-in conference. If anything, in my opinion, I think the Big 12 did a good job this weekend of saying, hey, we can get two teams, at least two teams in this college football playoff. Look what just happened to Notre Dame. I mean, if they're not being biased, which we know they're going to be biased, Notre Dame can win the rest of the games this year, which they won't do, by the way. But you lost to Northern Illinois. That's going to if anybody in the Big 12 loses a game to somebody in the Big 12, and that's the only game they lost, don't tell me that losing to Northern Illinois at home is worse than any of those. I don't want to hear that. I just don't want to hear that. So there's going to be more opportunity, people. I'm just keep playing. This is just the beginning. It's early on. Some teams got to figure some stuff out. Some teams are playing good football. But you know what? Football is here. And that's the only thing that I can say. Football is here, and that's all that we can worry about right now. Big week 3 coming up. Remember, as always, people, like I mentioned before, like, follow, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Make sure you do that. Hit the notification bell so you know when all Big 12 Insider videos are coming out. Appreciate all your all support, man. Thank you guys, and we will holler at you soon.
This has been a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.